Life, it comes at us like a train with all its ups and downs, its pains and its joys. How do we deal with it? How do we process it? How do what we learn from life, and especially what we teach life back in return, makes all of the difference. Welcome to Life Talks.
Lord, I thank you so much for my new sister, and it's just so weird how life has just taken turns. But although this would not have been the occasion for us to get to know each other a little bit better, we count all things as joy. We know it'll work out for the good. So calm our hearts and guide this conversation. I know that she has become a beacon of light for so many who are so uncertain in the unknown, but the fact that she's gone through the valley of the shadow of death, and even though there's still shadows around, we know that she's on the other side of it, and she can give guidance and hope to many. We're grateful for the miracle of her home, and I pray that she finds that as an anchor of joy, even though she may not be fully out of the woods. Bless our conversation in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
All right.
Thank you, Latoya.
Of course. Welcome to another episode of Life Talks. Thank you for coming and joining with us over these last few weeks, where I have been trying to bring some relative information concerning COVID-19. So far, we have spoken to doctors and other specialists and experts in the field of whether it's grieving or medicine, where COVID-19 is concerned. But sometimes, there's nothing that takes the place of a personal testimony. And this is what we have for you today. And I'm really, really excited because even though probably all of us know someone who is affected, because of physical distancing, we may not be close to our loved ones to help them through it or grieve. But also, we're hearing so many stories of individuals that are not recovering well and not dealing with it well. And so I'm really happy to have one of the miracles of this pandemic with us today. I have asked my friend and sister, Jessica John, to join us. Did I say it right? Good. To join us and to share her incredible story of making it through the tunnel of COVID-19. And I won't say any more because I want her to share it with her own words. So, Jessica, welcome.
Hello. Hi, Latoya.
Thank you for joining us. Really, really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
I know that since you have been sharing your story, that many people are just grabbing onto it. It's almost like it's water in a desert. They're just grabbing onto it to get some kind of stability, of knowledge, and so that they can at least know what's going on. Because I think most of the other things we're seeing are online with whether people are being interviewed or someone might share a post about someone who's been through it. But you're one of our own. And like we talked a little bit earlier, this is not the circumstances that we wanted to have to get to know you a little bit better. But things are working out together for the good.
Yes, and together for the good.
And I'm grateful to see that smile back. A little while there, it was touch and go.
Right.
So, so COVID-19. So first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself. I pronounced your name, and you saw that I asked her if I pronounced it right, because it is not an English name. Her last name is not English. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and your native name?
Well, my name is Jessica, but that's my American name. Actually, no, it's Brazilian name. I got that name when I moved to Brazil, so it's a Brazilian name. But Po-In, it's my Korean name. I was born in South Korea, and I grew up in Brazil. I studied in United States and Puerto Rico. I am a nurse, registered nurse, but I haven't worked as a nurse for a while because my last job was as an interpreter and translator at a government project in Peru. And currently, I'm working with Latoya at the same office for a doctor of ministry program at Andrews University.
So I didn't know you were a nurse.
Yes, I studied nursing. Yes.
So as Jessica said, we worked together, but we literally just started working together. In fact, it was maybe a week.
Sure. Before we started the lockdown.
And then we saw each other one day after that. And then it was all over until I saw you, on the show. You were sharing a testimony, a devotional. So okay, so you're Korean, and then you moved to Brazil, and then the United States, as far as I know. So you sound like you were a missionary, or
yes, our family was missionary in Brazil. And then we moved to United States, and my parents actually continued the mission work in Africa. So it's been about 17 years that they've been working in Africa. And I studied here in the United States, nursing in United States, and then I actually finished it in Puerto Rico.
Oh, goodness. So do you speak Portuguese and Spanish?
Yes, I do speak Portuguese and Spanish.
Okay, so let me just shoot for it. How many languages do you speak?
4 at the moment. Korean, English, Portuguese, and Spanish.
Okay, you beat me. Fine. That's fine. All right, so you mentioned Africa, and I'm really curious because when I saw when you had shared that talk, you did mention Africa. I'm curious to know where you went to in Africa, while you were there, and share with us what happened to you while you were in Africa.
Okay. So I did go to Africa several times to accompany my dad on the mission trip. I've been to Kenya, Ethiopia, Uganda, Rwanda, Congo, and Tanzania. So every year I would actually work and then save money so that I can go to the mission trip during my vacation time when I was a student. But in this one particular year, 2008, I had an attempted suicide. But because God showed me that I need to try once again, just try Him once again. So I decided to go to the mission field to have, try life once again. And while I was there, I actually had malaria and typhoid. And I was in a deathbed because of malaria and typhoid.
Okay, so hold on. You're saying malaria and typhoid, and everybody might be like, whoa. But you have them separate times. You had them.
No, I had it together.
How does one how does one contract both at the same time? Because they're just two such dangerous diseases.
Right. Actually, it's interesting because I was actually taking the preventive medication for malaria. But you know that even though you take something preventive, it doesn't prevent 100%.
Right.
So I still got the malaria. It's through the mosquito bite. The mosquito has parasite and then just injects into your blood, and that parasite travels through the bloodstream and then goes to each organ, attacks the liver first, and then when it gets to brain, you can die because this parasite will lay eggs and then hatch. Typhoid, it's through contact. So I'm sure that while I was treating patients, because I went as a missionary nurse, while I was treating patient or just seeing patients, maybe because of the touch or through whatever touch or food, it can be water as well, contaminated water as well. So maybe through that oral contact, I contracted typhoid, which affects the GI system.
Wow! So your entire system.
Sure.
From top to bottom was just
right. And then at the moment I was in my period, so it was a triple hit.
Yeah, being a woman sometimes.
Right.
Oh my word. That's incredible. So that's incredible. That you survived that, and I'm sure that was not easy. And I'm sure that your body took a beating.
Sure.
From the two of these diseases. You mentioned earlier that that you had attempted suicide, and then you moved over. You want to briefly share a little bit?
I had many traumas since I was little, and I think that led me to have depression, and so I got to a point where, since I didn't have any help, or I had no one that could take care of me, and I was just so burdened with all the responsibilities, the nightmares and traumas, and so I got to a point of thinking, okay, the only way I can escape this or to rest in peace is by taking my own life. Okay. So that was the only escape that I thought at the moment. Yeah.
And so you decided to go on one more mission trip, and it was over there that you felt God calling you and saying, give him another try.
Yes.
Okay.
That's how it was.
So it's interesting. Okay, you tell him, give me another try. You go over there, and you come down with typhoid and malaria.
Exactly. So it was very ironic because, I was about to take my own life, but then I hear the voice saying, just try me once again. And so I decide to leave everything and then go to the mission field. And then I get there, I'm working as a missionary nurse. And then I get malaria and typhoid, and I'm in a deathbed. It was very, very ironic situation.
Yeah, and I could imagine some of the questions you were asking, or some of those conversations you were having with God. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful that clearly, you're here with us, and you did beat those two very deadly diseases or illnesses, I should say. So you, and I keep repeating those because it's just you would never think in your mind that someone would, you hear a lot of stories of someone just going through so much, but then, I bet you may have thought maybe that was the worst of the worst that I could have ever gone through.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, physical pain. I think that time that I had malaria and typhoid was the worst that I have experienced in my life. But I'm glad because while I was in that pain, I was able to meet my personal savior. So through that painful experience, it's where I was able to assimilate the pain, the physical pain that Jesus would have felt at the cross. And that's when I was able to ask, why did he go through that? And find the answer that it was because of me. Right. And that was for me, even though it was the most painful moment in my life, that was my saving moment of life too. So yes, I mean, compared to any other pain in my life so far, that experience with malaria and typhoid has been the worst.
Okay. Yeah. And it's cool because we're leading into this.
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking about body pain, and okay, fine. Yes. These two were the worst. But then on when I saw you was March 18th.
Yes, right? You saw me on March 18th.
My birthday, we had staff. We had a lunch together.
Yes.
In the office. And then maybe a week later on, we get a correspondence from you that you may have COVID-19. You may have come down with COVID-19. And I remember reading it, and you were explaining some of the details. And when you gave the date, you said you started feeling sick March 19th.
Right.
It was the day after we had lunch together. And then we were talking afterwards, working on some work stuff.
Right.
And it was a week later, which, this is one of the things that frustrates me about the process and testing and, the speed of testing is that while people are waiting to find out and they don't know, they're still going about their life, or they were, interacting, you're going to work and everything, you go to the store, you have your family, and then it hits, I have it. So now you have to backtrack
Exactly.
on a whole week of how many people that you contacted, who this, that, and the other, and then to go back to them. These people, through that time, have been going about their daily life with their families. It just becomes such a web of tracking and not knowing. So, of course, when you let us know, I asked you, and we could be very candid. I texted you, and I was like, "Girl, you're telling us this now," because it was like a week after. But what you responded to me was so critical, I think, and that's part of the information I wanted to share, with our viewers, is that you were sharing that you couldn't tell the difference between the symptoms because it felt
Exactly.
like, and you could go ahead and share that.
Right. I mean, so that I was concerned, very concerned, because I started getting sick on the 19th. Actually, not sick. I was just feeling unwell because I was having fatigue and chills. That's all I had on that Thursday, the 19th. But then it was very close to my period, and so usually I do get fatigued around that time. So it was very difficult to differentiate what I was having,
Right.
But I did take precaution from day one. I said, okay, I don't know what it is, but I need to isolate myself just to make sure that I'm protecting everyone. But I was, of course, concerned about the lunch that we had the day before, because our staff had lunch together
All
at
of
that
us
day.
together.
Yeah, all of us were having lunch together. And you know how it's said that the virus stays in your body from 1 to 14 days. That's the incubation period. And so I'm like, okay, if I contracted couple days or 3-4 days before, then I still had the virus during that time, even before I started having the first symptoms.
Correct.
And so I was very worried about my team, but at the same time, I couldn't tell you guys exactly that I was sick because I didn't know what I had.
Right.
Because there was no way that I could get tested, because so my first symptom was fatigue and chills. That's it. And I couldn't tell the difference between if it was hormonal or something else. But I decided to isolate myself completely from that day, because I live with my parents, and my dad just had a heart procedure done at the end of last year. He has pre-existing conditions. My mom had lung surgery a few years ago. She has asthma and other conditions as well. So since they're in a vulnerable population, so I really didn't want to risk their lives. I really didn't want to risk passing anything. So even without knowing what I had, with the fatigue and chills only, I isolated myself completely. And then I got some sore throat and mild fever. And so with that alone, maybe a lot of people would say, oh, this is nothing. But I did isolate from the day one. And then that weekend, I started developing all these symptoms that it's on the news, the lung pain, the shortness of breath, body pain, joint pain, headache, congestion, dizziness, extreme fatigue, all that I developed that weekend. But, I really wanted to tell the staff, to warn you guys. So the second day of my sickness, I called my county, I called the telescreening, and I told them, I said, hey, this is my symptoms. It wasn't full symptom yet, but they were like, okay, stay home and watch your symptoms, which, I mean, it's fair because the influenza is going around too. So, they're saying, it could be cold, it could be something else. So just watch for your symptoms. But I said, so am I not getting tested? And they said they lack testing kits right now. So they're only testing the vulnerable population, which is healthcare providers, elderly population, people who have traveled internationally. So it's, or people who lives in nursing homes. So I didn't qualify for the testing. So how can I tell other people what I have when I don't know what I have?
Now, just to clarify, we are in Berrien County, so we're in Michigan.
Yes.
And each state has a certain number of tests, or even how quick they can turn the test around.
Exactly.
So the risky thing in this situation is that you're kind of like, they're playing. Not them; they're not doing it on purpose because they're
of course.
tested, but it becomes a game of Russian roulette where you don't know, but you know something is wrong, but it's not bad enough. Like, you're not dying for them to then say. So then you have to wait because you don't want to scare other people. Exactly. Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
But then at the same time, it's like, okay, so it really depends on the county, and I actually, develop all those symptoms. And then a week later, actually the 25th, I actually called the county again, and then I called the telescreening again in my county. But again, I wasn't qualified for the testing, even though I developed all those
the others.
symptoms. Yeah, all the COVID-19 symptoms.
Right.
And so since I could get tested, I got hold of a different county hotline in Indiana. And so I called them, and then they put me on the video screening. So the doctor could see me on the screen, and he said, okay, I'm going to put you to get tested, referral to get tested for influenza and COVID-19. That's when I actually told everybody, from my office that I might have, you might have been exposed to COVID-19 because I'm going for, I'm getting tested. Actually, I did tell you guys after I tested for the influenza first.
Right.
Since influenza came out negative, I was like, okay, then there's higher chance for COVID-19. Right. So that's when I actually contacted not just you guys, but everyone who I had closer contact with.
Okay, yeah. So now, Jessica, so you say county, and some people who may be watching don't know that when you say county, it's in a different state, right?
Yeah.
We're in Michigan.
Oh, yes.
You had to call Indiana.
Yes.
Now, where we are, it's a 25-minute drive to Mishawaka, right?
No, it's actually about 40 minutes drive.
Okay, so
yeah,
it's about that. So, so it's not, it's crazy. And I say that because when you put it in the perspective of, in your state, you couldn't, in your state, in the county, in your state, you did not qualify twice. Even with all the, and you are sick at this point because
yes, I had
stuff.
Yes.
Okay, so you have to call another state,
Yep.
and they say to you, "All right, come on." So that means instead of a 15-minute drive, you now have to make a 40-minute drive to a different state to get tested with all the symptoms.
Exactly.
And sick as a dog.
Right. I mean, since I was isolating myself, so that's a good thing. Even without knowing what I had, I was isolating myself entirely in my room. And then when I went out for the testing, I put my mask on, my gloves on, and then I carried Lysol. So I took all the precautions, to not pass anything to anyone.
Well, no, I'm thinking about your body and how fatigued you are, and that's what I'm thinking about.
Exactly. So it wasn't easy at all. But hey, I heard that I got lucky because I know some people that went all the way to Ann Arbor to get tested, which is about 3 hours from here. So
All right. Silver lining.
And then, so I did warn you guys after the testing, but then I didn't get the results until April 2nd. So
why? That's another doozy.
Because they had to
send it.
They had to send the sample to North Carolina. So that's why it took about 8 days. It was gonna take up to 10 days. But then the things changed actually very quickly. For me, it took 8 days, but then some people who got tested this week, they're getting their test results back in 1 day, 1 to 2 days.
So that's good. So it's progressing.
Yes.
I remember you had also said that while you were trying to figure out with the symptoms and so forth, they had said to you, you don't qualify, and
But I did share with some people that lives in Korea, and then when they heard my symptoms, they said, "I'm pretty sure you have COVID-19." That's what they said. Wow. Yeah, and then they were like, "Can we send the kit to you?" But then it's banned right now. You can't really bring in kits from outside yourself, and the Korea also banned exporting the testing kits like individually. If it's not through government or anything, they can't do it.
So. Wow. Well, that was really kind of them to
yes
offer that.
They tried.
You went in depth in telling us what this thing was doing to your body, and I think maybe that's where people are getting the anxiety from, because they're seeing stories.
Right.
And know that it's wiping out some people so quickly, and some other people are talking about this immense, almost torture that this virus unleashes on you. And that's
Sure.
why I wanted to introduce the malaria, in the beginning, because, and ask you about the kind of pain that your body was in, because it seems like you had a round two with COVID.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing a little bit?
Yeah, I did. There was a lot of lung pain, and then the difficulty in breathing. It got to a point where, in the whole sentence, I couldn't, I couldn't say the whole sentence without breathing in between.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the lung pain, like the chest, how do I say, tightness, because of the tightness on the chest, it was making more difficult to breathe. And then the back part of the lungs really hurt to a point that if I walked, just from the movement from the walk, my lung would just hurt.
Wow.
And so that was, I think, the most painful part. And then all the joints of my body was hurting. And so at one point I couldn't just stand. I had to just be on bed, or I was just crawling because it was hurting every joint.
Wow.
The muscle pain, headache,
the fever,
the congestion. I mean, I didn't have actually as high fever, like, too high of a fever. It was more like a mild fever. I had mild fever, but
okay.
The cough and yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So I guess what we're learning is that the symptoms
Mm-hmm.
vary, and some people can have
for
more
sure.
extreme.
For sure.
Some people have in all of the symptoms. Some of the symptoms may be more extreme in one person
For sure.
than another.
Yes.
So for you, it was
Yes.
the lung and the body pain, it seems. And
Yes.
fatigue.
And then the fatigue, extreme fatigue. So, not having energy to be able to stand up or stuff like that. But I mean, pain was actually the big issue. But I mean, actually, you can take the pain away by taking pain medication.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually take care of that part. I didn't take it because, since I already experienced bigger pain through malaria and typhoid, because when I had malaria and typhoid, I felt like all my organs were going to burst out. So it was like a greater pain. And since I experienced that, this pain was kind of bearable. And then I was trying to watch and study how the symptoms was progressing. So I didn't take medication on purpose. Okay. But, after 10 days of, having all those symptoms, on the 10th day, I actually took a Tylenol. And it relieved me from that pain.
Wow.
And it made me breathe so much better. And I was like, wow, this feels so good,
Wow.
If I would have taken before, I think I would have suffered less. But then since I was wanting to watch the symptoms, because I really wanted to kind of like study this. And so, yeah, that's why I didn't take the pain medication. But if you take early, I'm sure you're not going to suffer as much.
Okay, so now I'm sure someone is saying, what? What do you mean you want to... What do you mean you want to study what's going on? Isn't that dangerous to do? Like, you wouldn't recommend that to everyone?
Oh, no, I wouldn't recommend to anyone.
Is it because that you were a nurse and you also wanted to be part of the, the information afterwards and so forth? Okay. Now, you are home with your parents.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
How was that? Clearly, you've been in your room for how many weeks now has it been?
3 weeks, 24 days to be exact.
Okay. And so
yes.
how was that with your parents? Taking care of you and so forth?
Actually, at the beginning, since I only had fatigue and chills and then very minor symptoms, they didn't take me seriously. They were like, oh, you must not have anything. And I said, I don't want to take a risk. There's corona going on. If it is, then, it's, you better be safe than sorry. So I completely isolated myself. It was a little hard to, keep them out of my room because they, of course, since I'm sick or not feeling well, they want to check on me and things like that. So I had to like yell at them, be like, no, I don't know what I have, but stay out, And so at the beginning, that was a little hard to deal with.
For parents.
Right, because I mean, when you're sick, they want to help, right?
They help, of course.
Yeah, but I told them, I said, because this can be fatal to you because you have pre-existing condition. So I don't want to take that risk. I'd rather just go through this by myself. And so I asked them to bring food to my door and just leave it at the door, and then I'll open the door and take the food inside. And so that's how we started. At the beginning, them not taking so seriously, but actually I was trying to give them instruction what to do. So they followed. And later on, even when I went for testing, they still said, you probably don't have corona. That's what they were saying, because they were trying to be nice.
They were hopeful.
Yeah, of course. And then once I got tested and I got the positive, they were like, whoa.
Oh.
Right. But, they were not as stressed, like I said, because they already know about my experience with the malaria and typhoid, how I survived that. And so they just had that hope that I was going to survive this one too. And they did their best as well. I did my part of protecting them and staying isolated in my room. They did their part of bringing me food, nutritious food, balanced food, and then, hot water, tea, fresh squeezed, lemon juice, and, all of those remedies that they can bring me. They did that too. So we each did our parts.
Okay. So I'm sure they got tested, because clearly they're in the home with you and so forth. So you have good news for us or not so good news for us?
So actually, only one thing that made me a little anxious, throughout the whole time that I was isolated, was the fact, my parents' situation, their health and whatever. And so, for 23 days, I didn't know if they had anything or not, if I would have passed something or not. But yesterday, actually the day before yesterday, they went for testing, because now there's more testing available in Indiana. And so they're actually taking people even without symptoms. If you feel just a little bit of fatigue or whatever, they'll still take you. And so I was able to talk to the doctor to refer them for the testing. And then I got the call yesterday saying that both of them came out negative. So I'm overjoyed right now. All the isolation and all the, immediate isolation and, 24 days of being by myself in my room, locked in the room, paid off. And so I praise the Lord.
That's the power of the physical distancing they're asking us to do.
Of course,
yes. You guys are a good example of that. In the very home, that physical distancing does make a difference.
Oh yes, for sure. And early detection. As soon as you have something, just quarantine yourself.
I'm so happy. I am so happy.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm so happy too.
Now, but you're not out of the woods yet. What I remember texting you and asking you, how you feeling, and you were saying to me that there's one day you feel better and you feel like, oh, okay, maybe I'm over the hump, and then the next day it's like someone kick you right off the the bike again. So this is really like a roller coaster. You just don't know. You just have to wait it out until it.
So I mean, the thing with the COVID-19 was, that the symptoms will go away for a little bit. So you feel a little better, and then we'll come back and then be like, oh, I'm bad all over again. So I had this back and forth, downfalls like 3 times. I was getting better and then downfall, getting better and then bad again 3 times. And then now it's kind of the 4th up at this moment. And I haven't having any symptoms, major symptoms for the last 4 days. So I'm finally hoping that this is the way out. But there was a period of time that I didn't have major symptoms for about 3 days. And then on the 4th day, the symptoms came back. And so at the beginning, I got the recommendation saying that if I don't have any symptoms for 3 days, then I'm going to be considered recovered. But then now that recommendation was 5 days. But then I don't want to take the risk. So I'm actually going to isolate myself for 12 days, symptom free, before I'm going to, interact with my parents. Because they're not doing retesting. Right now, at this moment, the retesting, it's not available. Maybe since things are changing so fast, maybe they will have it in a few weeks or so. But right now, there's no retesting.
So literally,
make sure that I'm negative.
So literally, you're telling us that you will be quarantined in your room for possibly another 2 weeks.
Actually, for another 10 days, about 10 days. So yeah.
So that will lead you into 24 days, 34 days, almost a whole month.
Yep.
Of being in your room.
Yes. Yes. But hey, it paid off.
It paid off.
So,
And I think
yes.
that's a bigger message that we want to send.
No, that was
We
such
want to
a
send.
blessing. I was like jumping up and down and up and down, and yeah.
I just want to say this: like when this airs on Facebook for the first time, it will be a watch party. So right now, I will just say right now, this is a watch party on Facebook, and so people are probably going to be asking questions.
Sure.
And you will be there to answer. And so,
yeah, of course,
we just want to be available to give as much clarity as possible from a direct experience. Obviously, we don't have all of the answers. But one thing we do know for sure is that the healthier your body is, and the more that you boost your immunity, you are giving yourself a better chance.
Yes, for sure.
And
for sure.
Coming out of it sooner than later.
For sure.
And okay. All right. So, Jessica, you listed a number of things that you did to help boost your immunity and fight. Very tangible things that may be helpful for someone watching who wants to prepare for it, or who is in the middle of it. So can you share those with us?
So, you already know that there's no medication that can, kill this virus at this moment. And so what you have to do, you have to boost your immune system so that, your body can fight against this virus. And, there's so many different ways of boosting your immune system. And I think from my own personal experience, one of the most important thing was sleeping. You have to take rest. You have to sleep a lot, and then, keep good hygienes, lots of fluids, plenty of fluids, water, hot tea, ginger tea, fresh squeezed lemon, whatever it takes for you to drink, fluids. Also, having the window up and then having the air flow in, sunshine, that's really important too. Also, since the COVID-19 attacks the lungs, you want to be breathing, and it's going to hurt to breathe. You're going to feel the pain, but you have to take deep breaths and then hold it and then exhale, slowly. So you have to keep working your lungs,
because
and
that
also change
pneumonia from.
Of course, it's going to prevent pneumonia. And of course, if you're in a position where you really can't breathe and you're you have shortness of breath and you really need the oxygen, you have to go to the emergency. But then if you're not at that that level, then keep breathing, keep doing that breathing exercise. Also, changing positions helps. Sometimes being in a stomach down, prone position, it's what can help your lung expansion or with the pain, or even with the, if you have any phlegms or anything like that, excretion, then that position can also help to take that out.
Wait, also on your tummy?
Yes, on your tummy. Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Vitamin C, I heard that zinc is helpful. I haven't taken the zinc, but I was taking vitamin C. I was doing using eucalyptus oil, just having the hot water and then putting the eucalyptus oil and then taking in the vapor, steam in, and then I drank the water afterwards. Also immune booster, especially the immune, herbal immune boosters that would boost your gut health, help with your gut health. So things like that, just try to do everything that will boost your immune system. Oh, actually, very important thing, it's the food. You don't want to eat food that it's hard to digest, because, you don't want to concentrate your energy in digestion. So something that easy to digest, lots of fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, less processed foods, not fatty foods or sugar or, alcohol or smoking. I think all those things you have to stop. Just do everything that can boost your immune system. And this is not just the physical part. There's emotional part and spiritual part as well. So, listening to good music, staying connected with the loved ones, being able to meditate and pray, all those things that can promote boosting your immune system, do it. Be proactive, because not all of the people will be able to get treated at the hospital. You might not actually even get tested. And so, just take care of your body so that your immune system can be strong.
Yeah, that's really powerful that, at least saying when you said not everybody's going to get to be tested or
Right.
treated. So you have to do your part.
Exactly.
And give
Yes.
your body a chance to do its part.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it just sounds like it's literally the laws of health.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Just
The
practicing
most
it.
basic things are the
Yeah.
most important things, but we
Right.
forget, we always wait for the magical pill to come,
Right.
but no, the most basic things are the ones that it's going to help you. Of course, there's people who are in a critical conditions that
Right.
those things might be too, it might take too much time for them
Right.
to have some effect. But, I think the general population can actually boost the immune system and be
Right.
able to fight against this virus.
Yeah. So it's like getting ahead of it.
Yes,
Not
for
for it
sure.
to catch up to you. It's like
Yeah.
ahead of it.
Right.
Because once it catches up, it slows you down a little bit. So
Right.
while you have it, and
Exactly.
the doctor that Dr. Thomas,
Mhm.
she stressed on that too,
Mm.
the immunity.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
these are your soldiers. These are who are going to fight for you. You cannot go inside of your body and
Yeah.
fight. You have to give your soldiers
Right.
the best tools and the best weapons that they can possibly get, because that's all they have.
Right. And I already had a healthy lifestyle. I'm a vegetarian. I don't drink. I don't smoke. So I already had healthy lifestyle. But even then, I had to go even healthier. Like cutting sugars or cutting chocolate, or I had to cut some of the things that I like eating or some processed food, because I needed to get healthier, and I had to have those healthier habits. To be able to boost my immune system. So, some people might be able to start early, and some other people, even if they have healthy lifestyle and they can still get the COVID-19, then, you just have to go healthier.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So actually, someone watching
Mhm.
will get a little bit more information and maybe even feel better about it, because the unknown is so scary.
Right,
And
exactly.
although we're telling people don't be afraid, which is good, it's still it's a natural thing to wonder.
Right,
So,
exactly.
okay, what is it going to do to me
Mhm,
personally?
mhm,
And
mhm,
sometimes we have underlying things and we don't know,
mhm.
until something like that
Exactly.
comes
That's
and
true.
on. So,
That is very
um,
true.
and again, I'm not saying it was a blessing that you got the typhoid, and the malaria, but I think you brought forward a very powerful point that you had gone through pain
Mhm,
before.
mhm,
And so you were able to say to yourself, I remember that kind of pain. And
mhm,
somehow you use some of those tools you learned then to manage
mhm.
it, to
Yes.
then incorporate it into this. So that helped you also.
No, exactly, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're telling me that and you didn't give all the details, now that we know it, but I know from reading your emails to us exactly what you went through. And the fact that
Right.
you're telling me that this was not as bad as
No.
you had a double whammy. That was a double whammy. This was just a one whammy, but
Yeah.
and we're smiling about it and we're laughing about it, but it is a very
Mhm,
serious thing.
mhm,
We're smiling and laughing in the joy that
mhm,
you have good news, and that I'm seeing you smile, because we saw you when you
mhm.
weren't doing too well through our
Right.
meeting. So this smile on my face is just I'm overjoyed. You know.
Thank you.
So, and I'm grateful. I believe that your testimony is going to help so many people, and continue to write and share more.
Mhm,
Even some of those tools that you developed to manage pain,
mhm,
and the mindset on there. And I think your mindset was already, I've been through something just as bad.
mhm,
We're
mhm.
going to fight. I've
Mm-hmm.
heard many people say you got to fight it. You cannot
Mm-hmm.
give it control. You
Right. Exactly.
cannot give into it, even if you have to breathe through the pain, but
Mm-hmm.
fight COVID. That is not an enemy that we're going to just let take over our lives. So you had that fight
Exactly.
mentality because you had to fight through malaria and fight through
Right.
the typhoid. So I'm grateful.
Right.
I keep saying I'm grateful because I am, and
I am too.
and I'm
Very
happy.
grateful.
I'm happy
Yes.
you came on. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
we'll probably want to do a follow up with you later on.
Yeah, of course. Of
How,
course.
especially after the 10 plus days again, just to see how, since you're
For sure.
experimenting yourself,
Yes.
say that you are going to seek to donate your plasma?
Yes. Actually, I am. Right. I am preparing my body for it because, I want to be able to produce strong antibodies to be able to, pass it on. The only thing is, though, yeah, of course, since I had malaria before, that isn't the question because usually when you have malaria, you can't really donate blood. But I had malaria 12 years ago, so I'm hoping that I'm clear that I'll be able to do that plasma donation. But regardless if I can or not, I'm actually preparing my body for it. So even now that I have, I don't have major symptoms, I'm still eating healthy. I'm trying to keep the healthy lifestyle so that my body can produce healthy, strong antibodies. Yeah. So, either it can use for research or it can use to treat other people. Yeah.
Well, that's very noble of you. And I'm sure that, I'm hoping, I'm sending all the good vibes and praying that the malaria is cleared out of your system and that they can use your plasma.
Thank you.
Because we had a show with a doctor before, Dr. Thomas, and she was saying that that's her favorite treatment. It's an old treatment from hundreds of years ago of using the plasma, to treat. So the fact that you're being very giving of your blood and your body to help others, that's really noble of you. And we thank you for helping humanity in advance.
Thank you. No, it is really my hope that, I didn't go through all this for nothing, so, there is a purpose in all this pain and experience that I went through. And I really hope that it can be served to help others.
Right. And we talked in the beginning of all things working out for the good.
Yes.
So let's see, that it will work out for the good for others and you. And again, you have more tools. And now you can say you've had 3 rounds. Let's hope no more rounds. We don't know what God is going to do, but at least we know that you are a fighter and you have a fighting mentality, and anything that comes your way, you're gonna give it a run for its money.
Sure. And it's not just me, anybody can be fighting too. Yeah. I think being proactive, it's really important, especially in taking care of your body right now. Even if you don't have it, try to boost your immune system from now. Cool. I mean, being healthy doesn't mean that you're immune to the virus, but it's going to give you a better chance to fight the virus for sure. Just get ready. If you have it and your immune system is strong, then you're going to have less effects or less symptoms, or you'll be able to fight that virus better. And so, just don't wait until you get the virus to start boosting your immune system, trying to do everything, the healthy eating and doing all these therapies and remedies and all that stuff. Just do it now. Start now, and your body will be, better prepared to fight. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's the word we're going to end with. Get ready now. Yes. Don't wait. Get ready for the fight and boost your immunity. Sure. That's good stuff. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. And we'll see you again soon.
Okay.
All right.
See you at the office someday.
Yes. I know. We don't know when. I'll see you on the Zoom.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Life Talks. I hope that you were inspired and that you have felt a rejuvenation in your life. And I hope
that what you are saying right now is that the answer that you are given to what life has thrown at you is that I am still here. Email us with your Life Talk ideas at mylifetalkstv@gmail.com. See you next time. Bye.